After I returned from vacation, my boss said, "Now that you're finally back, hope you know you're easily replaceable." I looked at him and said, "Thanks for letting me know." On the next day I left and started working for the competition. In the afternoon he got one single text. "Now that you're finally back, hope you know you're easily replaceable." Kenneth Hoffman said it with that smirk he saved for moments when he thought he had the upper hand. I just walked into North Peak Engineering's main office after a week's vacation in Colorado Springs, and those were the first words out of his mouth. Not "welcome back" or "how was your trip?" Just that. "My name's Adam. I'm 49 and I'd been working government contracts for North Peak for 12 years. 12 years of clearances, relationships and deals that kept the lights on. But Kenneth saw me as just another engineer in a cheap suit." "Thanks for letting me know," I said, setting my briefcase down by my desk. He laughed like he'd made some brilliant joke and walked back to his corner office. I watched him through the glass partition, adjusting his tie and checking his reflection in his computer screen. Kenneth had been my boss for 3 years, ever since the company restructured. Before that, I'd reported directly to the CEO, Jonathan Rivers. Things were different then. I sat down and pulled up my emails. 47 messages about the Henderson defense contract, the one Kenneth had been bragging about for months, telling everyone how he'd landed the big fish. The $25 million fish that I'd spent 6 months nurturing through procurement channels he didn't even know existed. The phone rang. "Colonel Patricia Barnes from the Department of Defense. Adam, good to have you back. We need to discuss the timeline adjustments for Phase 2. "Of course, Colonel. Let me pull up the specifications." Kenneth's voice carried from his office. He was on another call, probably with Jonathan, taking credit for preliminary approvals that had come through while I was gone. I'd heard variations of this conversation before. "The team really stepped up," he'd say. "Good leadership makes all the difference." I finished the call with Colonel Barnes and stared at my computer screen. The cursor blinked in the search field of a job site I'd bookmarked months ago, but never used. My finger hovered over the mouse. 12 years. I'd built every government relationship this company had. I knew which procurement officers preferred technical specifications delivered in person, which ones needed 3 weeks minimum for review cycles, and which defense contractors were fighting for the same contracts we were. Kenneth knew none of this. He emerged from his office, straightening his jacket. "Don't forget the quarterly report is due Friday," he said without looking at me. "And Adam, next time you take vacation during a critical contract phase, maybe give the team a heads up." I nodded and watched him walk toward the elevator. The team. As if there was anyone else in this building who could navigate the labyrinth of federal procurement requirements that kept North Peak profitable. Something settled in my chest. Not anger, just clarity. I started at North Peak right out of the Navy. 27 years old, fresh from a deployment where I'd worked procurement logistics in some places the Pentagon preferred not to name publicly.